meeting to order. It's 5:40. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Our Berkshire studio presentation.
Right on time.
Good evening, thank you all. We are going to present our Berkshire Studio Affordable Housing Semester 1 report. So, let's begin.
On the screen are the primary reasons for Berkshire County's skyrocketing property costs and subsequent housing crisis, such as the rising construction costs, limited housing stock, and competition with wealthier second homeowners. Recent events such as the attempted Monument and Mount Everett merger have opened our eyes to these issues. The 5 towns in SPRSD have suffered rapid increases in housing costs, and our initial research was into the feasibility of on-site faculty housing.
Excuse me. Could you guys introduce yourselves?
It's a great one.
All right, I am Odin Sisko.
Can we introduce ourselves as we go up?
That's perfect.
Yeah, a little late. Odin. Delayed action. All right. Okay. We first conducted surveys with our staff finding that 40% of our faculty members live in Sheffield, and we expect these numbers to rise as our staff rotates in the coming years. There's a neat little chart of population and time for travel, and the majority of our staff lives 30 to 40 minutes away from school, while a slim minority lives around 10. This is a number of economic conditions that are problematic. And first of all, there's the decreasing school enrollment and frequent departure of young adults in Berkshire County, the minimal opportunity for permanent employment and domination of temporary jobs, the median wages falling below the state average and large wealth gaps between towns, a limit on affordable housing, and the shrinking tax base due to the declining population of younger residents. And all of these factors challenge the sustainability of our school and our workforce, which hits teachers especially hard.
I'm Michaela Carpenter, and this is Tyler Jacobs, who currently has no voice.
Been there, done that.
So building off of what Odin said, we decided to send out a survey for a better understanding of what our faculty wants and needs. The biggest issue we came up with was the housing affordability, and which limits their ability to live closer to work, which led to housing availability that becomes limited. The commutes were very widely. Some teachers were driving long drives, and others were driving short drives. Different benefits for each. And there's a desire for more affordable housing. Some believe salaries or the development of workforce housing near the school would be beneficial. One question that was asked on that survey was, do you feel connected to the community you serve? And many faculty members that did answer the survey answered and said that they wish they were closer and wish they felt more connected to the community. So that led us to do in-person interviews, getting a little bit more on a personal level with some faculty members. We asked about 10 different SBRC members, and some of the questions we asked were, do you think having workforce housing would draw in new faculty or staff members into our community? And if providing privacy is a major concern, would you be more willing to participate if you knew the housing would be on a secluded section of the property? We gained a lot from this interview. We began to understand what the faculty wanted and how they really felt about this instead of our survey that was sent online. And we noticed that there were more concerns than we had thought, which led us to a shift in our project. As in many studio classes, there tends to be a cyclical way of learning. And as on the screen up here, the learning cycle is a framework that describes the stages through which individuals or groups go as they acquire knowledge, develop skills, or deepen understanding. It emphasizes active engagement, reflection, and iteration. And what we found from this was that we weren't getting the answers we had hoped for originally. We then realized that we were asking the wrong questions to the wrong people. And as a class, we decided to switch our focus from the present to the future.
My name is Jacob Kreese. Based on this switch, we decided we need another survey, and we did a survey on retirement data, and from this data, we determined that roughly 70% of all employees will retire in the next 5 to 15 years, which gave us the idea if this project were to happen in the next 5 to 15 years is the best time frame. Next, we decided to create a persona. A persona is a kind of typical user that represents all the data we've taken. And our persona is the Patterson family. They have a price point of around $200,000 to $3,000 for a house. Lisa is a gym teacher. Ryan is a remote software developer. And they have a little kid, Emily. Their community goals are friendly neighbors and shared spaces. They want a backyard for gardening and play. And they want walkable, safe streets. Thank you. And then we arranged a meeting with the town after our learning cycle. We had a wonderful meeting with Nadine and Rhonda. And what they did was they basically laid out 2 lots for us that would be available in Sheffield. They're right across from the school. And we kind of talked with them what they had been doing as a town and what we could do going forward to help us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tyler Norris. So with phase 2, we started by identifying 15 architectural designs, which we then narrowed down to 3. The 3 designs we narrowed it down to were the cottage and bungalow style, which offers a nice and simple floor plan, which also offers the family a nice cozy vibe. We then also chose the modular and minimalist design, which is very simple. It's mostly built off-site, which would then be moved onto the lot, which allows for more customization of the home. And then finally, we also decided to go with the courtyard design, which offers a nice community space where you can get to know other people, but you also have your privacy. From there, we created a concept sketch of a house that's approximately like 1,200 square feet, and we allocated rooms to allow for a cozy, warm flow of the home. The design we really liked was the idea of a pocket neighborhood, which is really just a small-scale housing cluster, which is designed for privacy and community. They usually have common spaces, compact homes, and they're usually eco-friendly. We believe that this could easily be implemented into phases on the lots that we were led towards by the town.
Hi, I'm Robert Shore. For phase 3, we needed to develop a low-fidelity prototype with the plans that we already set up. So we decided on the bungalow set and the rough square footage of what we want our house to be. And we decided to make it be 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, like your standard house, plenty of space for a single family. We found a free site, which we were able to make our own custom floor plan. After a bit of tinkering, I got fairly good at it and decided to make a house. But unfortunately, I didn't know too much about architecture, so I had to use a plug of some sorts of some friends that I had up at RPI who were undergraduates in architecture and interior design. After I reached out to them, they pointed out a critical flaw in the fact that the amount of walls that I had for the upstairs didn't match the amount I had on the ground floor, which would have caused the house to crumble in and sink on itself. So it's just comfort, really, is the main issue there. So after some rearranging, we came up with this, which has, as you can see, that doesn't work in the theater, but it has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and all the space you would need to for your utilities and all of that other stuff. So that's very fun.
Our projected timeline for semester 2, and for the end of January for milestone 6, we want to find a partner and build model houses. And then in February, we're going to work on milestone 7, where we create comprehensive design plans and conduct a feasibility analysis on the lots. And then in March for milestone 8, we want to develop a step-by-step plan and identify any possible risks, and then create a mitigation strategy for those risks. And then in April for milestone 9, we want to do a trial implementation where we'll collect data to learn more about what we need to fix in our plans. And then finally in May, we want to have a final presentation at the town meeting, and then we want to create plans for the future of the schools.
This is Matthew Lowe. Lastly, we want to thank a couple people. Transcend for providing guidance and support throughout this process. Building 21 for organizing and guiding us to our goals. And the Eagle Fund grant for providing funding for the project to enhance our educational experience. Thank you, Holly, too. All right, we can ask a question.
I think we should clap for it. We'll clap again after.
Kim?
What kind of partners are you looking for? Tag your lip.
Well, the partners would mostly be a middleman between us and the town, because the town can't actually be a part of it and rent houses to people. So it's more of a middleman partner, and they'll provide the funding hopefully.
Are you talking so you're looking for an investor more so than an architect or a builder or something like that?
Yes.
Okay, a number of questions for you. I'll start with the simplest. Did you find this experience rewarding? And if so, how? And if not, why?
Well, I think it is rewarding, because we know eventually, in the end, hopefully, we will have affordable housing to help the community.
I agree, but it also has taken a lot of trial and error, which at times, makes you think oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. But we've made it this far, so hopefully we can make it further.
Right. Yes, no, right. In terms of something happened between the last time you presented a couple of months ago and now you really made major leaps forward. To what do you attribute that to?
I feel like a lot of help from the community and their willingness to do the surveys, because I know sometimes when I see a survey in my mailbox, I still have to do that one that you sent out. It was really awesome to see the community back us up with this information, because without that, we couldn't have gotten even phase one without that. So it was very helpful.
What community have you figured out?
The community of our school, like all the younger teachers, all the teachers that were able to give us like their life experiences with living and working at the school. It's very helpful information.
So one of my main question has to do with kind of following up on Bonnie. What did you guys learn from the trial by error experience? What have you learned, given that pretty much every project I've ever worked on has had momentary lapses of functionality due to stupid mistakes?
The trial and error feature of that specifically was something we haven't really faced yet in our high school career. And it was very hard to adapt to on like your first time, because when we hit that wall, when we made our first initial shift, we felt like everything we worked for was like kind of gone to waste in that sense. But we were able to like move past that and have it what it is now.
And do you find, just a quick follow-up with that, do you find that that gives you much more confidence about making mistakes?
Yes, like making mistakes is part of making a good project. Like you're never going to get it right your first time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. First, I've known most of you the better part of your lives, and I want you to know that I'm incredibly impressed with the way you all just presented and the way you carried yourself, so congratulations. One of the questions I have for you is, as we all know, living here in Sheffield, close to the school, we have a large percentage of wetlands. Have you guys already started thinking about that particular challenge, or are you waiting until your risk assessment to evaluate that?
Yeah, when we went to the meeting with the town, they kind of told us, go back to, well, one of the bigger plots is 19. Plot 9 is roughly like 19 acres, and they told us that roughly 14 were usable acres, and then the other one, the smaller plot, was
So 14 acres are wet and 5 are usable?
5 is usable, and then the smaller lot was roughly 80% of it we could use.
And are you already bringing in partners to help you work through those challenges?
Not yet.
And if not, I would highly recommend you add that to a much sooner milestone, because I can tell you from building in my 20s here in Sheffield, that was a huge slowdown and a set of challenges that we didn't expect when Tim and I were building. So early and often with Conservation Committee and Wetlands Management.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Totally agree as a builder.
Have you met with any of the other commissions in Sheffield to get them on board?
We have reached out. We have not gotten anything back. Won't take it personally though. But we're looking into more as this keeps going, so we will.
And given that, have you thought at all about how you would like us to help you, if at all?
Besides cutting a check.
One step at a time.
Power of friendship.
Your support right now is what we need here.
Now, I know you said you're only looking like right now for a no man for money and stuff, but coming from a building background, some of the aspects that, like an architect or something to help you walk through the process, because there's all kinds of things like energy code and things like that, that even though your house is nice, but you have to make sure your design meets that stuff before you even put it forward.
I would just like to clarify, when I said we were finding a partner, I would just say that we're finding partners, like
So
an
you,
architect.
so you would be interested in an
We have
architect?
some contacts that we are thinking about reaching out to, and also like with what you were saying as well, trying to find more than just a money person.
Okay.
Many different partners to help us along this journey. Yeah.
Going back to Stephanie's mention of contacting different boards, particularly given the wetlands, the Concom's, a lot of times if you're not getting responses back, phone calls are really effective. So, and I think that the project is so important, not necessarily, oh, you're a good presenter. And you're very, yeah, so look at the library, we know a little bit about you. But, you know, I think that we forget the phone. And we forget how important it is. Also, too, when they hear you, I know if I were to receive a call from, as a Concom rep, as a Concom member, if I were to receive a call from a student saying, we'd really like to present to you, it's 5 minutes, can we come to the next meeting? They would say yes in a heartbeat, basically. And it's kind of fun.
Thank you. Yes.
So I'm wondering, now that we've heard about the actual project, but I'm curious about your whole experience academically. Like, what have you learned about yourselves as students and learners in this type of an innovative class form? You know, what's different about this?
This class has taught us a lot about more realistic ways of working through things outside of the classroom environment. A lot of, not even a lot, like 99% of the classwork has been separated from Mr. Hamill. I mean, he's sort of there as the bumpers for us, but he's not exactly at the head of it, which is different, but not necessarily bad different, because it's let every other student step forward and try to figure things out themselves. There's no necessary curriculum or concrete way to go about it. It's about innovating our own path through the problem and coming to our own solution, whatever that may be, because there's no concrete way to do it.
Go ahead.
So I'm wondering if this experience has impacted any of your thinking about future career choices with the work that you've done. Is this, you know, environmental, or as builders or designers or municipal service? Plug, we're going to be hiring a new town administrator. So look at municipal policy and things like that. I'm just wondering.
Speaking for myself, I was on a separate path going into this, but it hasn't affected my career thoughts necessarily. It has affected, as I said before, sort of my problem-solving methods, and even if I don't go into construction, I know that there is a lot that goes into building a house.
Say that again.
As opposed to a couple people with hammers showing up for a few days and then cobbling it together. But
Oh, we wish.
it's, has any of you guys been affected career-wise?
I think what I got out of the studio is the more broad skills and like applying those skills to what we want to further pursue in our life.
Okay. Wonderful.
Jane, did you have a question? Well, I think Jane also had a question too.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to, I observed these people about 3 months ago, and I want to say I'm impressed with how you worked then and what you've accomplished, and I wanted the rest of the people to acknowledge their leader, who came in here 22 years ago as a traditional teacher and has stepped back and allowed this to happen, which is no easy feat for a classroom teacher. I want to thank you, Mr. Hauser.
So how did you guys come up with the topic?
We were actually presented the topic, beginning with the course.
Don't you agree? Go ahead.
So I noticed you're presenting at the Sheffield Annual Town Meeting. Are you already on the agenda with the Select Board and the Town Administrator?
We are not. It's just been something that was floated around when we met with the town.
Okay. No, I just wanted to say you have a friendly face. As the town moderator, I'd be the one welcoming you to the floor. So I would be, but it's not up to me to necessarily make that agenda.
Schedule that now.
That's why I wondered. Okay.
But you need to get on that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the timeline
Because
on.
you just can't say, oh, 2 days, can we show up?
No.
It has to be when they make the town warrant. It has to be on the town.
The warrant's March? The warrant is March?
Yeah,
No,
I think so. Probably by the end of March. I don't remember. There's timelines and dates.
You have time, but just,
But would they be going through a town meeting, or would they be going to a select board meeting first to present?
I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
because
true.
it's
It's
not
not presented
really,
at the select board
they're not
first and ask about
really
that.
looking to get approval at the moment, because they still have a lot of things to accomplish.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be select board first.
Yeah.
And that was easier to get on than the warrants.
And you should make sure the school committee knows if you're going to present to the select board or the other ones, because you might get some of us to come in the audience and kind of back you up. Just so that you know. Make sure we know.
In terms of, I see what you laid out in terms of the different ones, but given what Kim has said to you and others, I think getting some nitty-gritty of people, have you met with Construct yet? Have you met with one person who volunteered to help, who's an architect, who's a graduate from here? He's out in Boston, but he was really excited when I told him about this. And he's won all kinds of awards already as a young architect. So I think I would hope that, you guys are graduating. Are you all in this year's graduating class?
Yes.
But given the state of Sheffield and housing and all, I personally would say I wouldn't want this to die. You walk across the stage, get a diploma, Jesse, I think we've got to give them a sworn to carry on oath. Because this is so exciting. We deal with this, I'm in the historical commission, we've been dealing with this, other committees are, so it's great what you are all doing. Michaela, do you mind?
It's classroom, so I don't think it's going to die.
Stephanie?
Sometimes when you're working in a group, there's natural gravitation towards role assignment. Did you guys find that within your group, that somebody's naturally into logistics, somebody's naturally the communicator, somebody's naturally the leader? Where do you guys fall into that, or how did you come to that?
I think, there's definitely been some natural, position filling kinda.
Yeah, tell me about,
Made themselves known.
and who are they?
Me.
There, don't be shy about that, it's an important role.
Michaela's definitely a good co-leader.
Yeah.
And then where is everybody else funneling in?
They're just worker bees.
Is anybody naturally drawn to logistics? See a hand up in the back?
I really worked on like the graphs and all of the data.
They're great.
Which is something that's very important.
Yeah, very nice.
Data and analytics is important. Is anybody naturally drawn to like the communication part of it, more comfortable communicating with community members than others? Okay.
Me and Tyler.
Perfect. Nice.
Jacob too, you attended the town meeting and you took lots of mental notes for us.
I think it's time to get an article in the paper on this unique approach. So I'd be more than happy to assist you in making that happen if you need any assistance. But I figured you guys could take care. But if you need assistance.
My question's actually for Beth. This is a classroom experience, correct?
It is.
So it's not going to stop this year. It'll be taken up next year for the next class to take over. So they're leaving a legacy to continue. So I just wanted to clarify that for Bonnie, that this is going to continue.
No, my understanding was could be, it doesn't mean that they are going to pick up the same project. That's what you had said earlier.
Well, no, just we intend to have this home construction design studio again, because as these guys have worked, there's been other students who've been interested in it. And again, the intention wasn't just to have a group of seniors, it's the way it kind of fell with how their schedules work. This was open to juniors as well. And so there have been some juniors, some sophomores this year who will be juniors next year who have expressed some interest. So I think it's possible that next year we have more of a mix of junior and seniors. I don't know, Mr. Hamlin and I have spoken about it. It's worked out nicely to have a group of seniors, because I think they've expressed, not only to Transcend, but to us, about how they feel about the project, and they feel like they're leaving a legacy. And so I think it's been nice because they recognize, today was the start of their last semester and they're almost done. But they feel like their work, without speaking for them, has been really important. And I know that that's carried over into some of the other students who have seen what they've done. My point earlier was that we're going to try some open studios so that the students that want to try to find their own project have that ability. And so we're trying to kick one of those off. It'll start with this semester with some younger kids and see how that goes. So we're going to have both, but the intention is to run this same studio next year with some new students and have them basically leave their breadcrumbs of work so that it just naturally goes to the next group.
So, for example, that model that you showed us, now that it has a way not to fall into the ground, have you worked at all with Chris Thompson and his to do a three-dimensional house? Here we go.
On the site, it automatically rendered it into a three-dimensional format, so it's only virtual. I've done a similar thing with Mr. Thompson where I've made, what was it? Compact living structure?
Small architecture.
Small architecture with the same 3D engine that we would use through Mr. Thompson. So it's definitely a possibility, but we only got to the low fidelity prototype. But we could definitely use that in the future.
Do we have the capacity? I'm always thinking PR. If we could take that, turn it into a three-dimensional, and have it next to the Eagle, when you go into the main entrance of Mount Everett.
We have their little house that they created. Yeah, I mean it's it's only this big, but yeah, we have it.
They sell for $200,000 in Berkshires.
For physical models, our initial plan was to start with lower fidelity stuff. We spent a time, I don't want to specify, organizing Legos into different bags that we planned to build with. I was the Lego guy, but TJ, we split the load, but yeah, so I think we were going to work our way up to a 3D printed model, but not necessarily start there because all this would be the testing phase, and again, if our first model would have collapsed, we don't want to waste valuable plastic on that.
So impressive.
Sorry, just one more question, then I'll stop. Obviously, this is a one school year program for you guys, right? This isn't something that you're going to be able to see through to the end with a physical structure being built on property. So what is your team goal by the end of the semester for this program where you'll feel like if we achieve this goal, this program has been a success for us?
I feel like so long as we have a program in place for this to continue going until the end, by the time we leave, I feel like we will have succeeded in that sense. Partner would be nice.
Partners.
Yeah, there is, I think ideally, we haven't met the second semester additions to the class, but hopefully we'll see some juniors come in here, so.
They have at least some experience.
Yeah, so it won't be like
What we
sort of this faceless experience where, oh, going into it next year, like the people doing that have X partners already and X products already, but they don't know how it began or how they got to this point. So I think ideally we leave a solid launch pad for the next class, and hopefully that includes some people to guide it that will be there next year. So there might be some direct influence that we have on the people next year.
A little transfer of power.
Yeah.
It's great.
Just make that wish list.
Mr. Hamel, what's this experience been for you?
It's been different, as they said, but it's been very enjoyable to watch them work through the problems that they face, work together. Sometimes well, sometimes struggle, and all of that is part of it. Getting frustrated, but then returning the next class and digging in and wanting to pursue what needs to be done. So resiliency is a buzzword, collaboration, working through identifying problems themselves and solving them has been all very enjoyable to watch.
Thank you.
Last chance for questions.
Going once. Going twice.
Get that cat, get that cat.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, guys.